Howdy of you delicious people. I'm here today to review Stanley's Lucky Man Season 3, Episode Dose, Episode 2. Episode These Ones. Yeah, like, anyways. So, we're going into this episode, and really I just kind of was, fascinated with this episode. We really have, again, I guess it's going to be a visual season, but still, also, I think we really kind of keep making interesting episodes. We find ourselves now with this gang called the Snake Hand, which, if I guess that's probably not a blatant copy of the Hand from the Daredevil, and Snake is kind of Snake gets freaking used everywhere. When looking at Cobra Kai and Snake basically gets is everything. So really just Snake Hand is just kind of wow, that kind of that really didn't have to really just spun off the brain all that quickly. But for this show they were probably just hey man, just come up with whatever. It doesn't matter. Sadly enough. So but yeah, so going into this episode, I thought it was kind of really interesting that we basically have, if this episode isn't called Run Rabbit Run, basically through this entire episode, Harry is on the run. So really, it just showcases us, the tricks that Harry used to do to try to be able to try to either clear his name or trying to find out somebody who is just going to help him try to continue on being secretive and whoever. Eventually Harry does tie back into Kaleem, which we haven't seen him in a while, and it's kind of nice to come back to him. But yeah, so reasonably within this episode, very interesting ending. We get Detective Gray that is to be sitting next to Harry at the end of this episode. And I was having some thoughts about who Gray eventually would be in here. I was thinking any number of scenarios, but I think the one that I was thinking, I'm man, what if it's gonna be going back to Winter again, where Winter and Harry were butting heads in the very beginning of this. But I was also just thinking, I'm man, what if new person is going to be the worst possible person, and there's no way to convince this top cop of this department that it's hey, Harry is not actually the villain here. So with that said, there's kind of a lot of to digest in this episode. So I hope you guys are ready to just have a lot being really put on you in this episode. Because if anything, the first episode was kind of a reprieve. We have a lot of running around kind of scenes and stuff like that. Where they're really trying to compress a lot of stuff in this episode. Because they're yeah, I guess we're only going to have 8 episodes left, so let's just, shove all this in there and noogies and whatever, because we're going to have to, make 10 episodes 8. So, let's just, try to, smush as much as possible. We have the continuation of both Surrey and Rich in this episode, which, there's this whole kind of, we find out what Surrey's kryptonite is in this episode. If we're going, technically this is Stan Lee, so I should be going with a Marvel comic book reference, but, kryptonite is just easier. But anyways, so, but also Stan Lee had done a DC comic book at some point, so F it. Whatever. So, it doesn't say Marvel slapped on the thing, it says Stan Lee. So, and take it with what you will. So, but yeah, let's kind of tee it up, because I've already kind of technically had teed it up. But so what is to for a bulk of this episode? What is to technically go on? So Harry's on the run. He eventually is to try to get some like convenient ways to hide out through this episode, but he's also trying to get like fake IDs and like trying to be able to like luckily he knows like a lot of underground guys that can help him out in this whole like snag of a thing. Plus, also Harry is to be the person that kind of like knows, like considering he's a cop, he knows like, well, hey, like I can easily kind of figure out how to like maneuver my way to be on the run because like I'm a cop, so I just have to do like whatever like would get me not get grabbed by people, but also lucky bracelet. So like Harry is going to be able to like maneuver through this regardless because he has the luck of the bracelet. So uh by the end of this episode we eventually have Harry confronted by Blake, and Blake is seemingly not who he seems, or Gray is not who she seems to seem, or like there's a bunch of people who don't seem to seem what they seem in a whole scene. Anyways, so but we also have Harry who is to spend some time with Rich, and I was like, oh, thank God. So they are actually bringing these people back to the fold. It's not like in the very tail end of the last season where I thought like, oh, okay, so we're never going to see these people ever again. But Rich is back in this episode. So like he, I guess, is just tied to where Surrey is, which is Hong Kong, which is where technically Harry is, which is Hong Kong. So yeah, other than that, yeah, like so really the focus of also this episode is the footage that was to quite possibly have people think, is this footage doctored? Is it real? Like, was Harry seeing something wrong? Was like, did he like just lose his freaking mind or marbles or whatever towards the tail end of this whole thing? And so all of a sudden, what we thought we saw from Harry's mind wasn't legitimately what happened. And like, I would like to see that episode where Harry is just lost his freaking marbles. Like, I want to see that episode, and I can't wait for that to happen. For Harry, just like, I am just freaking done with all this. There is too many like balls to be juggling in this whole thing, and I just can't juggle anymore. Like, there's too much. Like, and I can't wait for Harry to just lose his freaking mind. Uh, and plus, also, you can see that Harry is just desperate to get his family back. And I think probably the way this show is going to end with Harry just reuniting with his family and then going off to just like, dude, I'm going to get my freaking vacation. I'm deucing out. See you guys later. Because I think that's what's just going to happen at the end of this. That Harry's going to go on his vacation, and then maybe he's going to think of like, well, maybe I'll be a PI. Maybe I'll be a this. Maybe we'll have a nice transition of this episode where like you can kind of have Harry like kind of contemplating what he's doing with his career. Maybe he's going to retire, or maybe he's going to die. I don't know. But let's go on to this coveted double 5-time territory, because I've already been talking about this episode for almost 10 minutes, so let's get into spoiler time, spoiler time. It's about that time again to spoil this episode. So, we have both Harry and Eve on the run, if you don't remember that, because Eve is supposedly Keeler from last episode, but really it was Blake that touched Eve's hands to do the little neck of a snap. So, in the very beginning of this episode, both Harry and Eve are to be coming out of a container because evidently they like bizarrely like lightsabered or welded bizarrely this container open, and so they just splued out of it. And so all of a sudden we have the security guard who's like, "Excuse me, who are you?" And all of a sudden this security guard is to be shot down because here comes this snake hand characters. We end up finding out later on in the episode that these snake hand characters are to supposedly like be also part of the bracelet regime of things. But what they try to do is they try to stop the bracelet wielders from like destroying the world, kind of thing. Like, and I guess that these snake hand people are naturally assuming that somebody is taking this bracelet and using it for the wrong purposes. And plus, also, I guess these snake hand people are also working with Blake, dealing out heroin. I guess that's in like the towards the end of this, but we find out that these snake hand people, I guess, aren't exactly going to be working with Harry anytime soon. So, but yeah, uh, so all of a sudden, Harry is to eventually use his magical bracelet to take down these snake hand people. He kind of uses this pipe to go and ricochet the bullet to have this like bullet bounce back and hit this guy back into the head. The silencer gun goes flinging off to the side. Eve can't get to it, so they're just like, dude, we're just gonna run. Like, Eve, go and find a motorcycle somewhere because that's what you just do. And so Eve ends up finding a Japanese motorcycle, but I think we end up also finding another like motorcycle that kind of looks much more like of an American style, but like in Japan, like if this is actually where this is filmed, which I'm kind of having this back and forth kind of like, is it really Japan? Like, is it really Hong Kong? No offense to anybody that lives there, but I'm like I'm quite thinking that maybe like, did they actually shift over there and just really just like go all out? Maybe there's a wing of somewhere. I don't know. Like, something about me just feels fishy with like where it just kind of feels like they're trying to create something here. I don't know. But that could just be me. But also, like, there could be some fairly iconic, like, actual pieces that are to, like, oh no, like, legitimately, like, these background settings are, of course, from this spot. You cannot, like, try to just wing that or whatever. Like, you have to actually go to these locations. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I don't know about Hong Kong. Like, I've only seen freaking shows and movies, which who knows if even that is Hong Kong. Like, they could, like, be, I don't know. Moving on. It's pointless to argue with myself, bizarrely. So, moving on. So, Harry is to eventually use his magical bracelet, magically delicious bracelet, to make his way through a bunch of like small openings and through a gate that is to be closing. And so we just have this other motorcycle that is just like, well, I guess I'm not going to be following these people. And Harry is giving them the finger as he's waving to them with his middle finger. Hey, see you later, mother. Like, yeah, see you later. Uh, so we transition from Harry and Eve to eventually Harry now eventually talking to Rich. It seems that Harry ends up getting a burner phone, and so like I don't think that this is the perfect way that this episode goes, but like here's how I'm just gonna splue it out. Because I know also Harry goes to Kaleem and eventually asks for like fake IDs, and he eventually goes to some guy named Bobby, but we'll get there. So Harry is talking to Rich, and like he's kind of talking for how Surrey would talk to Rich, so that way Rich wouldn't know it's Harry. So Rich is to make his way to this place, and also Rich thought that this is like Surrey, like Surrey new number. Like, what is it? So Rich makes it to this place, and Harry is like making fun of Rich for like the nickname that either he was given or like he gave her. And so so like it's yeah, so Rich is just like, oh my god, like it's great to see you again. I thought you were dead, or I thought you were like Like, I didn't know what you were. And so Rich goes and hugs Harry, and then we all of a sudden, like, remember the bullet shot, and he's, like, pretending that he's hurt, or that he's just kind of like, whoa. Like, so I'm like, oh my god, that's great. Like, that actually is to, like, remind us that, like, Harry's still, like, feeling that wound. And I'm like, wow, that's smart. Like, I like the fact that there seems to be a continuous flow of things. So good on them for doing that one little scene. It is, like, an important kind of thing. Like, because especially I love, like, during certain episodes when someone's to have this, like, big gash of something somewhere in their body, where, like, all of a sudden you start to, like, see it, like, slowly heal over time. And then you're just like, oh, okay, so, like, man, they're really trying to really showcase that, like, there's some continuity here, and I like that. It's not like all of a sudden, like, you have this big, huge gash in your head that's like, oh my god, and then, like, 2 seconds later, it's, like, magically healed, as if you have some healing factor, like you're Wolverine. Unless you actually are in a show that's probably called Wolverine, then probably you have a healing factor, but like that's just you. Like that's just maybe you just heal abnormally fast. Healing factor. Anyways, so pushing on. So Harry is to mention that there has to be some way that Harry can get that footage that is to have been, like, shown to people that Harry was Keeler. And so Harry is to tell Rich, it's like, well, if you're, like, by Surrey anytime soon, help a brother out, if you know what I mean? Because love is thicker than water. And I think I love you more than Surrey does. Or does she? So, so I'm caught in the laughs. I'm sorry. But anyway, so Harry is to eventually just like, hey, Rich, like, help a brother out. And Rich is like, well, of course. So Harry goes off to go and bizarrely play, like some game. I don't remember what exactly it was called. It looks like it has something to do with, like, dominoes. But I'm horribly, like, that's probably the one thing that I'm probably gonna forget, besides any number of things. Like, because I know, like, they kept saying the name of the game, but heaven forbid I actually know, I remember the game. So Harry starts, like, freaking, like, it's not gin, but it's something like that. It's not Baccarat or backgammon or whatever, but it's some kind of, like, domino game. I don't know. So I'm not going to keep trying to guess. So Harry eventually keeps winning at this, and people are thinking that he's cheating. And so Harry just grabs the freaking money and runs. And so Harry has enough money to get money together to go and get this ID from a guy named Bobby. So it seems that this, like, because in a roundabout way, what we end up doing is we have, like, Harry go to this drug dealer, and this drug dealer gives him information to go to this guy named Bobby. And so then Harry goes to Bobby, and so Bobby is to also be able to put together these fake IDs, but also Bobby is to seemingly be able to spot a like a fake of a video, like if somebody has doctored it. And so Harry's like, I'm going to come to you later because I'm going to find a video and you're going to go and see it. And with your professional opinion, you're going to basically say that this video is doctored because of course it is. So, so now Rich is to spend some time with Surrey because Surrey is having Orwell, like, sit in the car, and I'm like, dude, like, you're just gonna have Orwell sit in the car? Like, I would have just been like, hey, Surrey, I'm just gonna leave, and I'll go and grab a donut or something, and then I'll come back. Like, I don't know how long you two are gonna be talking in there, because Surrey is thinking, like, Surrey tells Orwell, Surrey's like, I'm gonna break up with Rich. Like, I think right now, like, we need to go on a break because technically, like, Harry is on the run, and like Surrey had just gotten a promotion, and like work is probably going to become like her life right now. So like Surrey is just playing it off to Orwell, like, yeah, I'm gonna break up with him. Like, just wait and you see how long this is gonna take for me to just break up with this guy. So Surrey all of a sudden, uh once Surrey comes to Rich, all of a sudden, like, I don't like this analogy because it sounds, but like Surrey just turns into a schoolgirl, and like Surrey around Rich is just like, yes, Rich. Like, what? Like, I whatever I was remembering like 5 seconds ago doesn't matter now because I'm with Rich. So Surrey is all of a sudden like giving all kinds of information to Rich, and she's kind of conveniently going to the bathroom. Like, she's like, Surrey is giving Rich this video, and also like Surrey is also like tapping Rich's phone, not Rich, his phone, so that way she can like try to track where he's going after this, because Surrey is to give Rich this video, and Rich is going to try to give this video to Harry, because it feels obvious that like Rich is to seem to be saying like the truth to Surrey, but like Surrey's also like, dude, I'm a freaking detective. But Rich, schoolgirl, and so Surrey is to just be like, I don't know why I'm telling you this, and I don't know why we're doing this, but and you could just tell like there's this just really nice moment between Surrey and Rich, and then it's just ruined by eventually Surrey going back to work. No offense to Orwell, but it's just like Surrey just going back and now having to be like, well, yeah, like I did just outsmart Rich, and so. And so Surrey is to go back in the car, and Orwell is like, how did he take it? And so Surrey's like, well, like, I think I'm just gonna, like, keep him dangling there, but I think eventually, like, this is just not gonna work out. And so also we have Harry that's telling Rich, like, maybe you and Surrey should break it off right now, because, like, if anything, I think you both are, like, lying to one another, and, like, Surrey deserves better, and you deserve better, and like, Harry deserves better, and everyone deserves better. I've had better. Like, I'll have what she's having. Anyways, pushing on. So, what ends up happening is Rich has the video, and he's like, dude, I want to get this to Harry. Like, Harry had told Rich to like remember his number, so that way when Harry calls again, or if Rich needs to call Harry, then like, and so Rich is just like, well, I'm gonna put your name, or I'm gonna put you on like pain in my buttucus or butt, and so Harry's like, don't put that down there, it'd be too obvious. so, so Rich goes and like, oh, hello, Harry, I have evidence for you, and so. Now Rich is to, like, walk off, and so Orwell and Surrey are also following Rich. And so all of a sudden, we have Harry who's just like, you know what, I think your phone is probably being tracked right now. If anything, how about you walk past me right now and see if both Orwell and Surrey are following you. And so Harry is to just kind of wait off to the side, and Rich is being followed by Surrey and Orwell, and like Surrey just thinks that she's so smart. So Harry is to tell Rich to dump his phone, and so he does. And so it's like bizarre. We have like Surrey and Orwell that are like trying to like conveniently hide the fact that they're investigating Rich, and they're just like they're just like, they're trying to like go off to like some door and just kind of like be like supposedly discreet, but they're sticking out like sore thumbs doing that. So all of a sudden, like, they are tracking this phone, and they all of a sudden see some old lady with the phone. And they're like, oh crap, Rich dumped his phone. And so Rich is telling Harry, like, yeah, you owe me a new phone, you schlub. And Harry's like, yeah, like, I'll get you a new one. Like, as if you need a new one. For you and Surrey, just like, I'm gonna text away, I'm sure. So so Rich is giving Harry the video, and Harry's like, thanks, I'm going to send this to Bobby, and he's going to be able to confirm that this is just a fake video. So, we eventually have Harry, who now has to confront uh, one of these snake hand people. Because what ends up happening is one of these snake hand people go to Bobby and is kind of like squeezing him for information about Harry. And so now Harry has to go and try and talk with one of these like with one of these snake hands, because eventually, like, all these guys are supposedly dying, or like being shown that they killed themselves, but that's not true. It keeps getting to uh, eventually where Bobby is to have supposedly suffocated himself, which that didn't happen. And then there was another like self-death supposedly. And so Harry confronts this snake hand person and kind of confronts him about like what the heck that they're actually doing here. But so Harry ends up going and taking the video to Bobby, and so Bobby is to uh, like have all these quirks and all these problems, like having to count the money 6 times. Like there's possibly some like OCD here, but I'm not a doctor. So to the point where like the kid has to like touch the door 6 times and like whatever. So not mine to judge. I've seen freaking God, who is it? Sheldon do that a lot. So Bobby is to eventually like get the photo and stuff done, or the video done, and so Bobby is trying to cryptically give Harry a message, knowing full well that that Bobby is going to die soon. So Harry is to like eventually like continue to listen to the message, and he's like, oh, like Bobby like has his laptop in a secret place, and I know where that is. So Harry goes and finds the laptop while like a police officer is kind of helping people like fix their groceries that fell, because Harry's using his power of the bracelet to have this cop kind of walk away. So Harry gets the laptop, and so Harry sends a copy of this video to Gray. Eve ends up kind of sneakingly, while Gray is make her way to her office. Eve drops this envelope into Gray's uh, purse or backpack, whatever. I'm assuming purse. Am I wrong about that? Probably. So Gray makes it to the office and goes through all of her stuff. It's like, ooh, what present somebody probably had to forcibly give me. And so Gray opens this yellow envelope and like, this wasn't here before. Orwell, Surrey? Is it my birthday? And so Gray looks at this video and puts it in. And she's like, Harry still killed somebody. I see this. Like, oh, I guess the video was doctored, and there's some Bobby guy telling me that it was doctored. Okay, who am I supposed to believe? So Harry is all of a sudden calling Gray and saying, "Hey, we need to meet. If anything, like I swiped right. So you and me date tonight." And Gray's like, "But I swiped right. That was the wrong swipe. I don't care." So, anyways, so Harry is to also call Surrey and let her know that if there's a plan that does not end up quite going correctly, that that Surrey needs to come up with some other plan with Harry. And so when Surrey is going off to whatever plan that Harry is to have, and she ends up finding out that it's all a ruse, and Surrey ends up calling Harry back, and she's like, I thought I could have trusted you, but I guess I can't trust you, Harry. I guess I can't. Like, we're through. Book 'em, Dano, after this. Because also we have kind of this moment where kind of Gray is talking to Orwell, and like Gray is just like, do you think really Surrey can be trusted? And Orwell's I bet my life on it that Surrey can be trusted. If anything, I almost got shot in one episode because I trusted Surrey because, yeah, like they didn't have to freaking like put me back into the fold because I was a leper at some point, but I worked my way back into their good graces because of transferring and then not transferring. And so, but Gray is just like, but Surrey, can she be trusted? And so, so Orwell is now just like whose side am I on now? Like, I also want to kind of butter up to my new boss, but I also don't want to throw Surrey under the bus, and I don't feel like I should. So Orwell is like, yeah, Surrey can be trusted, but Gray is like, but can Surrey? But pushing on. So eventually Harry is to make his way, and I know this is way too long. I'm gonna finish this up soon. So Harry goes, because I'm having fun. We're supposed to have fun in a review. And so Harry is making his way to Gray. And so Harry is like, I hope that you're not a very expensive date. And Gray is like, I don't hope you are either. Harry is to just kind of thumb through the menu, and Gray is ordering the lobster bisque, and Harry's like, say what now? No. No. So what ends up happening is Gray is to eventually kind of show her hand pretty early. Harry is to say that, hey, why am I here talking to you if I'm not innocent? Why come out of hiding if obviously I am not afraid to get caught because I know I'm right. And so Gray is like, well, that's good and all, but here comes Blake. And we find out that supposedly Gray is saying that all of a sudden Blake is some MI5 agent that is to have worked on this case with Harry, and Harry is to mention about the bracelet, and Blake is like, what about the bracelet? What are you even talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. As if Gray is basically saying that Harry is some kind of loon, and he I'm sure Blake is just going to be like, Harry is just I think he this job has gone to his head. And so all of a sudden we have every single person that was in this restaurant, I guess, as an agent, and they just start to stand up. And Harry is like, whoa. Oh my god, this guy's reach is just insane. That all of a sudden Blake has just masterfully crafted this whole thing so that way he can win, and so that way Gray believes that Blake is this MI5 super secret guy, which he isn't. And well played, dear sir, well played. And so Harry, all that he can do is just back on the run. And so Harry decides to jump off this building to end up in this garbage garbage truck. And so Harry, you just kind of watch him kind of trying to like go out of this like garbage truck and just kind of watch on as this restaurant where both Blake and Gray are just kind of like on the side of this building. They're just like he got away again. He got away. So yeah, so we find out some really interesting things. Harry is mentioning that Blake and the snake hand are working together, and like obviously like the snake hand is dealing heroin for Blake, and so like I'm wondering eventually where the side of Gray is going to lead, whether she's going to completely entrust in Gray or in Blake, or is she going to shift, or is she gonna like completely just be like, oh yeah, like this whole time I wasn't who I said I was either. But yeah, so like I guess like an MI5 guy had to come in here to supposedly clean house, is what Gray believes. That it seems like things are going so badly that like MI5 has to step in, which is like, okay, like did Gray check this guy's credentials thoroughly? Did he show her a badge? Did he show her a gun? Did he show her that like there's a profile of him with a gun holster with a gun like in his hand and going like, I'm police officer? I don't know. There's something fishy that Gray isn't deep diving into Blake all that much. Maybe she'll find out that this guy isn't all MI5 of what he would have thought that he should be. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. If any parts that I probably missed about, I apologize. But yeah, that's what always happens. Eventually, people are going to be like, oh, but this scene that he didn't cover, and blah, blah. I think I covered bulk of the episode, so I'm going to get out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.